Stop identifying with that old version of reality if you want the relationship that you actually deserve. A few bad moments don't mean that you're falling behind, so let's actually get into that. Hello guys, welcome back. Today we are talking about your relationship manifestation, maybe a specific person. I know a lot of people are manifesting that. Just the realm of relationships and dating when you're trying to manifest that end result. So what do I mean? Expanding on the identity, a topic I've been talking about and principle I've been talking about a lot in my recent videos, where not that I've shifted my beliefs, but I've definitely expanded how I explain it and what it includes and things I've learned from life experience, from manifestation experience. So I think with each video, I probably do gain a little bit more knowledge. So let's get into all of this. The first step that I always highlight for you guys is, of course, to actually understand what you want. Not just thinking maybe this is what I should do, or I will lose SP, I will lose this relationship, I will lose this opportunity if I don't do this, or if I don't focus on that. There's no right or wrong. It's what you intuitively want and need, what's best for you, what's the right, best thing to do in this situation. So decide what type of relationship you actually want. What is the relationship you want right now? Maybe you want to take things slow, start in steps, and that's totally fine. You don't have to decide, this is my husband, this is my future relationship. You can say, well, I just want to explore dating or a relationship with this person. It doesn't have to be jumping into the full end result. If you're not sure, that's not exactly what you want, maybe that's not the life stage you're at, but decide, what is this relationship that I actually want? And yes, it is okay to change your mind. So get really specific about what that would look like to you. Jumping into this identity part of the video already, what would that look like? What is it that you want in terms of how you would be treated? What does that look like in your life? The relationship that you truly want, being loved and valued and chosen and prioritized. What does that look like? Maybe it could be also, like I said, starting from maybe, well, just being prioritized and chosen through initiative, through being pursued, through communication, getting text messages every morning. It could start just from that. That could be one big component for your relationship. I directly work with my own clients as well who want better communication with their specific person, with their current partner. So just getting specific on what it looks like for you to be truly loved. And then once you do understand what you want, why you want it, it's going to make it easier to stay motivated as well. But then you mentally embody that as if you're already there, as if you already have all those things. You already feel all those things, those end states, the mental state, the thoughts of already being chosen, pursued, prioritized, committed to, given all of that love and respect and, effort that you truly want and deserve. So mentally embodying it, meaning thinking as if what's going on mentally in your brain, visualizing it, speaking to yourself, those inner conversations. And if you need a prompt, or maybe that seems a bit overwhelming right now, that's okay. Just write down or think to yourself and ask yourself in the moment if you want to take 5 minutes to try out an inner conversation, or, you can say it out loud, basically. Say, what would I think if I was already in this relationship? If I was already receiving all those messages, what would that visually look like? How would I feel? I would maybe wake up and just assume, yeah, there probably are text messages waiting for me from my phone, from my person. Just imagine and think to yourself, what would I actually be thinking, and how would I be going about my day if this were already true? So you're basically working towards and focusing on identifying, becoming and thinking that version of you who, by the way, it's very realistic. I'm not telling you to imagine something crazy. Like, this is possible for literally anybody. Identifying as that version of you who is loved and who is chosen, who does feel confident, secure in this relationship. Those are some of the key phrases and adjectives, I guess, and emotional states that you can connect to where you are in this happy, amazing relationship or dating experience where you would feel those things. So if you have a specific person, or you're just kind of dating or open to a new relationship, remember that every specific person, every person in your reality, in a relationship, is going to reflect back to you your dominant assumptions, your dominant state. If you're constantly worrying, spiraling, being really hard on yourself, putting yourself down, maybe comparing yourself to a potential third party or previous third party or something like that, then that is probably going to be where your SP is reflecting things back to you. And that doesn't mean they're instantly going to, say to you, oh, this person did that, that person did that. It might just be that they are maybe hesitant about the relationship. They don't initiate a lot of communication. It can come out in very many different ways. And those are just examples of, realistically where people have been throughout their manifesting journey, or what could happen if you don't consistently focus on and work on the dominant assumption of feeling those positive mental states and types of thoughts that connect to being confident and chosen and everything. If you don't do that, and then you do let yourself just fall down this negative spiral, maybe allow those kind of worst mental states and worst deep-rooted fears to just come to the surface and sit there and wallow in that, then yes, your SP is going to reflect that dominant focus. When you're starting with a negative old story, you want to change the way that you speak to yourself and think to yourself about dating and relationships. So as I highlighted, I will talk a little bit about self-concept because there's an important element to this a bit later in this video. But basically changing the way you speak and think to yourself with self-concept as well, not putting yourself down, as I said, just, trying to put your SP on a pedestal and yourself a lot lower than that. So any kind of negative old story, backstory that you might be coming from, any, failure or issues you may have encountered in the past around dating and relationships, so making sure you're not holding on to that, you're not letting those thought patterns continue, those emotional patterns continue and wallow and sit in that, because there's absolutely no objective reason that needs to hold you back. So coming in with that self-awareness so that when you do have negative opposing thoughts to what you're actually creating, you recognize it and you say, oh yeah, that's something I've struggled with, or oh yeah, that's the way I used to worry and think, in the past, but now I'm recognizing, nope, I am not going to think that to myself or assume that. So stop identifying with the version of you that is currently still waiting for love. So really focus on and come in with the intention and the goal of convincing yourself, convincing your own mind that healthy, successful relationships and love are very normal to you. You're normalizing it to your brain because I've talked about this before. Your emotional states, your neural pathways, your nervous system, your brain, your entire body is going to respond to these things and reacts when you have a pattern created. So if you have this belief and maybe feeling of disappointment or failure or worry about, what if I just can't find love? What if love has just never worked out for me? And this is something that I'm just, I always have struggled with this. When you connect to that, your body and your brain have adopted that as well. So you want to normalize this end result to yourself, basically. Whatever your end result for this relationship is, normalizing it, that's the goal, to teach your mind that this is safe, this is normal, this is a very realistic outcome for me. And no, your current 3D circumstances are not objective, not permanent, and quite frankly, irrelevant. So people tend to not do this anymore. I'm so happy to see that. But please don't write out your current circumstances. You're reaffirming it to yourself. It's showing that that is literally where you're at and who you're deciding that you are. In the comment section, online, there's no benefit to it. Unless you're working with me as a client, it does not matter what your current circumstances are. They do not determine the final outcome. Most people watching will not actually turn on notifications. That means that they will usually miss out on the videos that they actually want and need to see. So make sure you click that bell icon, subscribe to my channel. So it's completely free, and then you will be able to stay up to date with all my newest uploads. Really ask yourself, are you thinking from the version of you desiring this end result, or already being in this end result, the present identity based? Because if you're coming from a place of desire and saying, I don't have it, but I want it, that keeps you kind of in the past and trying to look and reach to the future by saying, well, I want it and I'm working on it, but I don't have it. It's not mine. I'm not there. That's just not who I am. That's not what my life is like. If you keep repeating that, that keeps you in this desire, future-oriented basis of trying to reach for something you don't have. Whereas if you are coming from the identity of it, convincing yourself, thinking to yourself as if it is already your life, that's putting you in the present moment, telling your mind you have it right now. And there's absolutely no reason this is impossible for you. think about how many people in success stories in my comments section as well, which I love to see, my own clients. I have some success stories on my Instagram, just online, basically anywhere online in the manifesting community. You see people say they have success stories with this. So even beyond that, in normal life, if other people can have these amazing healthy relationships, there's no way it's impossible for you. So whatever you are consistently, repetitively telling yourself and about the assumptions that you hold about your relationship, that's what your person is going to reflect back to you. They have to reflect where your dominant focus goes. You cannot tell yourself 50 times every single day how bad the relationship is, that there's no communication, and then wait around and hope SP reflects something different. That's not the way it's going to work. So consistency by focusing on the result that you want as if you're already getting everything that you want in this relationship, that's how your person is going to reflect it back to you. So when your mind starts conforming to this new story that you're building, life and your experiences start to reflect it back to you as well. And if you do experience things that contradict your end result, what you're creating, revise it. Go in with your mental diet. It's still consistency. Any form of consistency based on what you're actually creating, what you actually want, that's what you keep going with. It doesn't matter if the wording's slightly different, the approach is slightly different. There's an infinite number of ways in which you could do it. I've said this before, you can even literally sing your affirmations and desired outcome to yourself. It really doesn't matter as long as there's consistency with you focusing on what you actually want. So don't think that, and don't take one bad conversation, one bad moment, maybe one experience where you would hope to see movement and progress, and it maybe was a repetition of the past circumstances to say, well, they just don't want to be with me, they don't like me, they see me completely differently now. And same goes for, any negative circumstance or something where there's just not, visible movement forward to say, oh, I'm falling behind, this is failing, why can't I manifest? Don't jump to those negative assumptions. Return back mentally to your positive assumptions, to what you're actually building and creating, those new beliefs, instead of trying to in a very tiresome way negotiate and analyze every single circumstance. Just mentally negotiate with your own brain. It's going to get exhausting. It's going to push down your motivation levels, and just trying to figure out and analyze and argue back against every single circumstance. So that's not to say you shouldn't apply your mental diet, but I mean to negatively analyze and feed into what you're seeing if it's not what you want. And the more you apply the repetition of your affirmations of the end result, the more you are literally strengthening the neural pathways in your brain that are sending signals all across your body, by the way, whilst you create those new thought patterns, because that's what your neural pathways respond to, and electrochemical signals are being sent from the root point of your brain. Every thought you have when you're thinking and basically waking up your frontal lobe, and the brain is basically in action. It's creating a reaction all throughout your body. Your brain and your body are very interconnected. So remember that every repetition, every form of consistency and repeating your affirmations is literally building up, strengthening your neural pathways, adapting your mind, your body to the new way of thinking. You're putting yourself in that identity of being already in the end result. And those new thoughts, that new way of thinking is eventually, over time, being built up stronger and stronger. It's going to become easier and so much more natural for you to consciously think those thoughts of your affirmations, of your mental diet, of just thinking as if you're already there. It does get easier. And then in turn, what's also happening, like I just said, the nervous system as well, I think I said it a bit earlier, but your nervous system is responding as well. It's going to treat it as something familiar, something safe, something normal, almost like the way maybe at the beginning you would have thought, yeah, no contact or these negative circumstances are normal, it's in my memory. I wouldn't be shocked if someone told me that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening to the positive version now. And those affirmations are going to be so powerful, and they already are super powerful, because it's showing your mind and occupying the identity that you're building up. You're reinforcing to your mind, this is my new identity. So another aspect with self-concept as well is that you're going to reinterpret and change the way you view your SP's behavior and what may or may not be happening through a more positive lens, with a little bit of confidence and value-based self-concept. That's how I would categorize it. So self-concept in general, but I am still a big supporter of saying that self-concept isn't the be-all end-all. You don't have to work on self-concept to manifest your SP. Now, I will say where it ties into this identity and being a good boost is things along the lines of you feeling more confident, valuing yourself, self-worth, so that you don't spiral and immediately jump to a negative assumption. And yeah, again, apply lots of negative comparison, put yourself down, try and hold your SP on a pedestal automatically. When you work on this level of self-concept, for anyone who's struggling with that, what I just mentioned, that type of self-concept work, even just simple affirmations about being confident and valuing yourself, can help a lot. And overall, you really just stop needing that validation from your 3D, from your person, because you're starting to connect with and accept that inner story that you're telling yourself. So you can still have those moments of doubt, that's completely fine, but not, you'll get to a point basically through this consistency, and I'm also telling you guys where not to, fall into a bad mindset of deciding that, oh, movement has stopped, the manifestation has regressed, something's wrong, just falling down this negative spiraling mindset just because you've had maybe a bad day or a couple moments of doubt. And then persisting in this mindset and with your manifestation basically just means returning to those positive assumptions, returning to your affirmations and the end result you're creating, even if your 3D hasn't caught up yet, isn't reflecting that, has a bit of a time delay. Because even without, obvious external movement and confirmation of things happening right in front of you, movement can absolutely still be happening. You will likely feel calmer about your person instead of constantly analyzing them, and your affirmations will begin to feel more natural rather than forced. You'll also probably find that your thoughts automatically come back to the new story that you're creating. Instead of it feeling like a chore, it almost just becomes like an automated way of thinking. It comes up in your mind because you've repeated it so much. You'll probably stop obsessing so much over negative circumstances, and you may even have dreams that reflect this desired relationship and what you're working towards. It doesn't have to be a literal dream of, oh yes, I'm at the altar, marrying SP. It could be just something positive about dating, about self-concept, about, how people are treating you in a romantic context. You'll also find that you'll just naturally take inspired action and go about your day. Instead of trying to question or pick apart every little, potential decision or outcome, you just feel more natural and confident about things. And then that is what can lead from, a bridge of events naturally unfolding, leading into contact or commitment and just any other external, 3D reality movement and progress forward. So you will know that you don't need to control every little step of the journey. You just start to feel a lot more confident. And I find that prayer really supports the manifesting process and just working towards goals in general. I guess it wouldn't be phrased as a manifestation, but for the sake, obviously, of what we're talking about in the manifestation community, prayer can really help that because you're working towards achieving a goal. I just find that, for example, if I was manifesting a relationship, trusting God that, the right healthy relationship, the right outcome, the best thing for me that I'm supposed to experience, prayer and turning to God can support me and show me the right path as well. So the real sign that everything is coming together isn't one random moment or a text message or one situation that comes up with your person, for example, but rather you having changed the person that you are focusing on consistently, the person you've become mentally, internally. That's the biggest sign.